please don't kill me. My English is bad. All I have to say is just wow. Microsoft Flight Simulator just looks everything as much as I hoped it would be, and even more. And 4 months later, that holds up even better than the day that I got the game. And nothing can change that. I have barely anything to say in this part. The game looks amazing. Just, if you're not interested, stop watching the video and go buy it. It looks amazing. But I have a couple critiques. My first one is something that was very much overblown, and I didn't actually see a lot of people talking about, and I haven't seen it in many reviews or places or forums, but have you ever tried, I'm not sure if people have tried this, well, I tell you so you don't have to buy it if it's terrible, but point is, if you go down in Microsoft Flight Simulator to the street level or a couple, maybe like 100 feet above a city, you will begin to notice quite a few kind of anomalies and very out of place graphical differences. Like, you'll notice that there are quite a few buildings that look almost warped. The textures look like they've been stretched, or parts of the building might jut out at random angles for no reason. And this, I think, is not necessarily a problem with the game and Asobo, but instead I think is a product of the AI that they used and big maps which they used to calculate and build the world, because it's so difficult to obviously create a one-to-one recreation of the world, and that's very hard to do. And so obviously used AI, and I'm pretty sure that the data they pulled was directly from Bing Maps with maybe very minor touch-ups, and so that's what leads me to believe that there are like very odd or sometimes like graphical like discrepancies and just little quality dips here and there. But other than that, graphics just 10 out of 10. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. And I think this game is worth $60 just on its own for the graphics. I think it's, if you are just looking for a fun game to play that looks incredible and you're not that into hardcore aviation, I would just pick it up right now. It's not at all, I mean, it's about $60, so it's a little steep. If you have Xbox Game Pass, I think that's also a very, very easy download because it's free and it's amazing. But on to physics. Okay, physics. Yeah, we gotta talk about this. It's, oh boy. Okay, so physics. Physics were not really focused on, at least I didn't see in the trailers. It was a lot of just these really cinematic shots of the game's world and environment, and that kind of worried me because I was thinking, how are the physics going to be like? Are they going to be realistic? Are they going to be good? And my fears were sort of confirmed, and here's where I think this 4-month perspective is really good. Over the last couple months, I believe that Asobo has been kind of quietly patching in physics and realism updates through their world updates, and just kind of teeny tiny, well, not that teeny tiny, but 1 gigabyte updates. And I think that over the last 4 months, the physics have come a long way. I remember when the game first launched, the airliners were completely unflyable. At least in my opinion, they were just acting really bizarrely to me. And the A320 has now become my favorite plane to fly in the sim, and I think Asoba has done a great job at listening to the community and fixing the problems and kind of physics, because it's much better, although I think they still do have quite a bit to go before everything is great. And once again, disclaimer, I am not a pilot, although I do have a relative who was a 747 pilot, so and he said that 747s are very, very responsive, and once again, I cannot confirm this because of me not being a pilot, but there is something that just feels off about the 747-800 or -8 in the sim, and I really hope that they focus on fixing that plane, because the 747 is an absolutely beautiful plane, but right now it's just very difficult to fly, and that might also be me just not knowing how to fly a 747, but there's some sort of feeling that is not 100% in the game that yeah. So physics, I would say overall would be like a 7 out of 10 for realism, just because there are a couple weird kind of bugs here and there, and once again, I cannot confirm, but it just feels off, and some planes feel way too responsive and others feel way too sluggish and way down. So I would say overall, in the next couple of months, I believe that the game will eventually get really good, and the physics will be completely patched out and they'll be great. So right now I'd give it a 6 out of 10, and let's move on to the flight model. Okay, flight model. So here's my thing. Flight models are beautiful, and this could be a very short section, but the flight models are gorgeous, and the reflections and texturing on the aircraft is just absolutely stunning. And here's where it kind of disappoints me, is there's so little to interact with in the cockpit. I think most of the buttons don't work, and it's really sad because the game it looks beautiful, the cockpit looks beautiful, but then so many of the switches don't work that could add so much depth to the game that I feel could really easily be added in, which is a couple animations. I'm not sure it's that hard to animate a knob just turning, but I can understand it was probably very packed development, and I'm sure that over the next year or so they'll probably update the planes. And what I would love is sort of how there are now world updates, if Asobo could possibly focus on aircraft updates to specific planes like the E320 or 747 to just fix physics and workable instruments in the cockpit, because I think that it would really drastically increase the realism effect. And just speaking of the flight model, the damage, yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing, I've read or I've heard from some places that the manufacturers, Airbus and Boeing, do not want damaged models of their aircraft in the game, and I can understand that, but I just think it wouldn't be that much to ask for flames coming out of an engine when you have an engine fire. The game has so much potential that it's really sad to see it kind of being weighed down by companies not wanting their product to be shown in a negative way. I mean, I can understand, but I just hope that the failures or just the damage model will be improved in the future, because right now it's just a black screen and it kind of just jolts you out of the immersive experience that is Microsoft Flight Simulator, and kind of makes you come back down to reality, and the game is so good at kind of making you feel like you're a pilot and you're in an actual plane. And I think it would be so much more realistic if they could have the plane tear apart, or let's say you struck a wing, part of the wing could come off. And I know that's a lot of work, but just some sort of attention to detail, or some sort of just small little thing that would make the game feel more real, is if there was just more damage to the aircraft. Because really, Asobo and Microsoft have shown they can add external factors to the aircraft, and like they can make the plane from the outside, if this makes sense, look different. Like, they have added real-time icing and snow, which now the fuselage can be covered in ice, and the engines are covered in ice, and it looks beautiful. And so here's where I don't understand that if you crash, the fuselage couldn't be scratched or dented, or just, I don't know. I just think that there's some potential there, but maybe that's a little bit too much to ask for. And moving on to actually payware and the store. So far, I know it's only been about 4 months, but there has been very little actually in development, or just kind of, there hasn't been much exciting stuff right now. And I would say probably the best planes are probably the ones that come with one of the 3 versions of the game, and I right now would not recommend buying anything really from the store. There's almost, if you could take a look, it's almost all scenery, and there's barely any planes that I've seen in the store. There are maybe a few like piston or jet aircraft, like fighter jets, or like kind of piston or prop planes, and general aviation aircraft, but I have seen very, very little on the aircraft side. It's been a lot of just scenery and stuff, and I understand that it's been very early. It's only about 4 months. I know that aircraft development takes a long, long time for these sims, and so that's why I'm not that, concerned or upset, or this is not really that important. But I just think that I'm really looking forward to the next couple of months and just seeing the store grow and develop more, because I think right now it's a little bit kind of barren or dead. But hats off to a lot of the developers, because you guys work really hard, and so keep doing what you do, and yeah. So, I guess to wrap up, final conclusions. Should you buy Microsoft Flight Simulator? Yes, you should. Absolutely. It's very simple. It's a good game. You should totally, totally get it. I think it's really worth it. And if you love aviation, whether you want to be a pilot or you just like planes, they're cool, I think it's a great game to start with. And for those who are looking for the next level of immersion and flight simming, I would say for now, either try Flight Simulator 2020 on Game Pass or stick to X-Plane, because I think in the current moment, X-Plane is slightly better in terms of realism and physics, and although the graphics may not be as good, if you're looking for the most realistic physics-wise, I would say X-Plane is a little bit better in terms of how it replicates aircraft movement. But thank you for watching, and enjoy your day.